had to name 3 cities that you think people should choose to live in across the world in some order, which 3 cities would you pick and why?
For what purpose?
Anything. Quality of life, access to opportunity, access to amazing people.
Did we lose Balaji?
I think Balaji's thinking and he's off. It's interesting because I think one of the interesting questions is, I think a lot of people think about is Balaji back. Okay, 3 cities.
Yeah, go ahead. You said quality of life, et cetera, et cetera. Go ahead.
Access to opportunity, access to people you want to live with. Could be anything. Pick your optimization algorithm.
It's a good question. Well, Henley Global is, a site that, studies like migration of high net worth and whatnot. And that's only one indicator, of course. Mm-hmm. But an interesting thing is all the big countries are losing, their millionaires and billionaires and what have you, right? So obviously Russia, but China, and actually India is generating them almost as quick as it's losing them, something like that. And the US has actually, it used to be a net destination for millionaires, billionaires, but it's actually dropped 86% over the last 3 years since the pandemic, from like net 10,000 something coming in per year to like 1,000 something. And it'll probably turn negative soon. And so that's an interesting point, which is, wait a second, if all the big guys are losing, who's gaining? Mm-hmm. It's places like the UAE, like Switzerland, like Monaco, Singapore, actually Israel is a big gainer. Okay. And these small jurisdictions, I think, are generally, if the 20th century was the Giga states, mm-hmm. the 21st is in part about the small states and the network states. And actually, you could have a neo-Hanseatic League. Do you know what the Hanseatic League was? It was like a group of city-states that allied together for common defense against like marauders and pirates and so on. Gotcha. So you could have a network Hanseatic League, where you have a bunch of smaller principalities that align together non-geographically, because the internet means they're much more connected than normal. They can align for the purpose of trade and communication. Normally, all these sort of pacts and stuff are geographical. But people live in more and more on the internet. They've shared metaverse kind of things. They can be non-geographical to a great extent. Okay, so I guess those small countries would be, I think, where you'd go if it's just generic, like where I think best generic quality of life mm-hmm. is. Mm-hmm. But it very much depends on what you want to do, because I think increasingly we're seeing more and more regulatory variation. So if you want to do stem cells, well, Germany had more liberal laws. If you want to do nuclear power, well, Wyoming has liberalized there. If you want to do Bitcoin, then maybe El Salvador, and so on and so forth, right? Like drones, I believe Nebraska, and I think even Brazil has liberal drone laws. And so the point is that and this is actually an article that Mark Anderson and I discussed, and he actually has something on this from several years ago around the same time, which is turn Detroit into Drone Valley in Politico, right? It's basically this concept of, at the time I was tweeting about special innovation zones. So this kind of came out of some of that, I think.
Oh, yeah, and, I remember that. Okay, that, right? Listen, there's a good list out there. Okay,